Since we are in the month or months of Black Friday, I thought it'd be a good time to take a look at one of my favorite little power banks here, the Bluetti EB3A. Hey everybody, it's Chris from Family Geekery, and today we're going to be taking a look at this Bluetti EB3A solar generator, power bank, whatever you want to call these things. And this is my own unit that I've had for about a year. I bought it myself. This is not a sponsored video, but I don't think I've made a video on it yet, and I just wanted to talk about some of the features because I know this time of year geeks like us start looking for these types of things, and there's a lot of them out there, a lot more today than there was last year and the year before. So I just wanted to focus on what I think is probably one of the most feature-packed units for the price. So first of all, let's talk about the overall size, I guess you will, of this unit. And when I say size, I mean like power-wise. So you got two things you want to look at. The amount of power that it can output, so 600 watts in this case, and that's going to be specific to the AC outlets here. We'll talk about that in a second. And then the overall capacity, which is the 268 watt hours. So the bigger this number, the bigger the watt hours, the longer this thing's going to run for you. And the bigger this number, the bigger the amount of watts, the larger the item is that it will run, or the more items it will run at the same time. So if you got refrigerators, TVs, that kind of stuff, then you need to figure out how much power all that's going to require, and that's going to dictate this number here. So obviously if you have an amount of watts and an amount of watt hours, the more stuff that you're running, the less it's going to run for time-wise. But you want to just kind of do some quick math. If you need to figure any of that kind of stuff out, I've got a video that explains all about volts and watts and amps. I'll go ahead and link that up here in the corner, and you can check that out. So now that we understand the capacity and the power output, let's talk about the individual functions of this one, because like I said, this is the most feature-packed device for the price. So let's start off with the AC, since that's the thing that most people are interested in. This has an output of 120 volts AC at 600 watts. So between these two outlets here, you can get 600 watts of power each, and that's usually continuous power. Usually if you have a surge, you can kind of figure that this number will be doubled, so up to 1200 watts surge, but you don't want to have too many of those, so just focus on the 600 watts total. So take a look at some of the things in your house, and there's usually a label on them that tells you how many, either how many volts and amps they use or how many watts. If you know how many volts and amps, you can just multiply those two together. So if it said it was like a 1 amp device and it's plugged into the wall at 120 volts, then you know that's 120 watts. So just use that to figure out if this 600 watts is going to work for you. Usually if you need more than 600, it's going to be a much larger battery bank than this. For the size, 600 watts is pretty impressive for this. And it is full sine wave, pure sine wave output, so your electronics are going to be pretty happy with that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the DC. We got lots of DC options. We got, of course, the cigarette lighter plug, which is a 12 volt output, I believe at 10 amps max. If you don't have a cigarette lighter plug, or if you want to use a more efficient style of connection, you can use these two barrels here. And if you have the right cables, which you can make the right cables from a couple adapters at Amazon or something, then you can go straight from this barrel here to your device. So maybe you have a 12 volt item that usually goes through a power adapter and plugs into AC. Well, if you know that it's the right amount of voltage, you can go straight from this right into that device. So that can save you some conversion factor from not having to convert from AC to DC. It's doing it right inside here. And then probably the more widely used ones, we've got the USB-A output here, which is going to be 5 volts, 3 amps. And then we've got the USB-C, which is a full 100 watt power delivery. And we're going to test that out in just a minute. So that's also pretty impressive to have a 100 watt output from your DC side on this size unit. As far as charging goes, we've got an input here that you can bring in something like solar panels. It'll take up to 200 watts of solar charge at the same time. And then what I like about this unit is it's got this handy dandy IEC connector here, just like you'd use a 3-prong plug for a lot of your other electronics. So if you ever lose the cable, you can probably find one somewhere else in your house, and you just plug that in, plug it into the wall, and it says it'll do up to 9 amps of charging. I'm not sure what the total wattage max is, but it charges this thing up, it says off the wall, in about an hour. And then over here we've got this light, which is nice if you're using this for camping. Do not turn this on when you're staring at it. Learn from my mistake. It'll blind you for a couple seconds. It is very bright, so have it facing away from you when you push that button. And then as a bonus, up top here by the handle, we've got a wireless charging, which is 15 watts. So if you've got a wireless chargeable phone, just pop it on the top there, and 15 watts is pretty decent for a bonus little feature like that. Now, operation on this thing is very simple. If you want to just wake it up, just hit any one of the buttons and it's going to wake up the screen. The screen gives you all the information you need, how many watts is coming in, how many watts are going out, what your capacity is, and based upon what your capacity is and how many output watts you got, it'll give you an estimation of how much time it's got left on it. So once you got it woken up, if you just push any one of the buttons here, then I just turned on the AC or the DC. If you turn on the AC, you'll actually hear the little relay click in there, and now I've got AC turned on. So now I've got everything turned on. I can plug in whatever I want. After a few seconds, the display is going to blank out just to save power, but if you tap any one of the buttons again, just a single tap, it'll turn the display back on so you can see. And you can also hook up your iPhone or Android phone to this. There is an app that runs over Bluetooth, and then you'll be able to see what the usage is and what the input and output is, what your estimated time left is, all on the app, which is handy because if you're going to be using this for camping and you're going to be hooking up solar chargers, then you probably have this somewhere and you're probably trying to position your solar panels to get the highest output, and you don't have to keep on running back to the screen here to see what your input wattage is. You can do that right on your phone, so that's handy. Alright, I wanted to test out this 100 watt output here on this USB-C connector, and what I've got is just a USB-C to USB-C cable, just an anchor cable. You want to make sure it's a high quality one, and this is run right to a 15-inch MacBook Pro, and that MacBook Pro is streaming right now some 4K video, and it's showing that it's drawing about 43 watts out of the total 100 that it can. Now this is another way to save some power, because if you took your big power brick that comes with your MacBook and plugged it into here, then you're going to be going from the batteries inside here to an inverter inside here to make it into AC, going through your big white brick, which is going to turn it back to DC, and then send that to the laptop itself. And if you've ever felt your charger, that big white brick, it gets warm, and warmth means that you're burning energy, and that's just wasted energy anytime you're creating heat. So if you can go straight from DC of the batteries through some kind of a converter to DC out here, and then straight into your laptop, and you see you're just pulling just 44 watts, and it says that this would last for another 5 or so hours, charging that or keeping that laptop charged up, and that's of course before the batteries on your laptop start dying down. So pretty impressive to have a 15-inch MacBook Pro streaming video for over 5 hours on this battery of this size. And here's a quick demonstration. We see now that I've got the power brick in here. It's pulling about 54 watts or so, and our time has gone down a little bit. So it's not a huge savings, but it is enough to make it worth it to go ahead and just plug the same cable in right to your DC output. Another thing that I like is that everything is right here on the face. All your inputs and outputs are right here. There's nothing on the sides, nothing on the back. That just makes it easy to kind of control and see everything all at once. And another thing to note is that this is lithium iron phosphate batteries in here. So you may see that listed as LiFePO4 or LiFePO4. That's lithium iron phosphate. Usually people are looking for those batteries in this type of device because they have more recharges before they start losing capacity. So like 3,500 charges is what they list on here before you start getting a 80% charge capacity instead of 100%. So depending on your use case, that's going to be many years, 10-20 years before you start getting into that. Now if you use it every single day and you charge it all the way up and deplete it every day, then of course that's going to go quicker, but still 3,500 charges, that's pretty incredible for these batteries. So I think that's going to pretty much sum it up for all the features. If you have any questions about this thing, let me know down in the comments below. Like I said, it's my favorite little portable one. I've got much larger ones than these, and I've got smaller ones, but this one is kind of the best bang for the buck right there in the middle. Plenty of power, enough capacity for most things. If you had a power outage at your house, this would keep all your phones, tablets, and stuff like that charged up for the duration. If you need something to get your air conditioner or your heating or your refrigerator running, then you may want to look at a larger capacity than this. Bluetti makes ones that are, of course, larger, and of course, the larger you go, the more expensive it's going to get. But like I said, great bang for the buck, lots of features, and all around very versatile. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you got anything out of it, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. If you want to see more reviews on different kind of geeky things and gadgets and all kinds of geekdom, go ahead and check out the rest of the channel, and you may just want to subscribe. So thank you as always for watching, and until next time, peace out and geek out.